workers in the court action initiated in December 2017 accused the company of relying on reasons not allowed under law to carry out the retrenchment. Justice Lorinda Owusu on Friday, however, dismissed the request by the mine workers, saying the company will suffer if the exercise is halted. There's more in the following report.
The mine workers in mid-December commenced a series of protests aimed at piling pressure on their management to rescind any decision intended to have some of them laid off. Sources close to the company explained the layoff as necessitated by short lifespan of the Takwa mine. This was not the first time the company was undertaking such an exercise. About 400 workers were laid off in 2014 over similar concerns. A petition was handed to Parliament's Mines and Energy Committee by the agitated workers when they received letters informing them of the management's decision. They argued in court the reasons for the retrenchment was not allowed under the law. Goldfields company's legal team disagreed. The judge, Justice Lorinda Owusu, ruling on the interim application, said the company stands to lose more if she granted the request. She said no harm will be suffered by the company since the court can always order for compensation to be paid if need be. This leaves the substantive matter on whether the layoff is legal or not before the court.
Persons with disability in the Maternal district of the Accra East region are complaining that the 2% allocation of the district assembly's common fund meant for them is not getting to them as it should. They say some officials of their district assembly sometimes use questionable means to deny them the fund, while in other instances the amount they apply for is approved but not given to them in full. Accra East correspondent Albert Sorry has more.
At a stakeholders engagement meeting to discuss the outcome of a project aimed at protecting the rights of persons with disability in the Bursa North district, some physically challenged persons revealed that the district assembly has unfairly treated them for a long time. They said despite the clarion calls often made for metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies to be sensitive towards persons with disability, some officials of the Bursa North District Assembly do not seem to care.
I used to catch up people who are not disabled people, yet enjoy this fund. There was one time I caught people who were holding our application forms. So I got to them and I said, well, where do you get these forms? Because the forms are ours. And what they told me was they came to the assembly for support to further their education, and they were given these forms to be filled.
Assistant Director for the Bursa North District Assembly, Benjamin Akurugu, who was at the program, promised to put the issues raised by the persons with disability before the district chief executive for redress.
This kind of researches will help us to unearth certain issues so that as a district, maybe we may be at the assembly, some of the issues, they don't bring them to our attention. So when they are brought to our attention, we will find means to curb those issues from recurring again.
The Presbyterian Community-Based Rehabilitation Program implemented a 6-month project aimed at protecting the rights of persons with disability and also to ensure that public organizations treat such persons fairly. The project was funded by Star Ghana in partnership with the UK Aid, European Union and ANIDA. Programs Coordinator for the Presbyterian Community-Based Rehabilitation Program, Maxwell Akandem, said the project has empowered persons with disability to be able to speak up for themselves.
About 67% of public and private facilities in the Bursa North District are not disability friendly. And I think that it is a wake-up call. And when the Disability Act was passed in 2006, they gave a 10-year moratorium, and the 10 years has elapsed. Government is not doing anything to ensure that the Disability Act is being implemented. And so for me, I think that it is a wake-up call on government to facilitate for the passage of the legislative instrument to enable the implementation of the Disability Act to work so that the needs of persons with disabilities can be met.
From Sandema in the Bursa North District of the Upper East Region, Albert Sorry, Reporting for Joy News.
Elsewhere, victims of a recent rainstorm at Brofiedu in the Ifija district of the Ashanti region found cause to be thankful to God despite being rendered homeless and losing property. Almost half of residential and public buildings had part of the entire roof ripped off. For residents, coming out of the disaster without casualties is enough grounds to hold a Thanksgiving service to thank their maker. Nanel Jima was at the community and filed the following report.
Amid singing and clapping, victims of the rainstorm and chiefs gather under this big mango tree to thank God. They chose to gather here since the old St. Joseph Cathedral and the new one under construction were destroyed by the rainstorm. They are led by 2 Catholic priests and another Pentecostal pastor, all of them natives who have come to sympathize with the community. Even though property running into thousands of cedis was damaged by the rainstorm, they count themselves fortunate no life was lost. 95-year-old Adjoa Mankwa, who perhaps was the hardest hit, is here. Half of her home was destroyed. Though she looks casually unhappy, inside her she feels her life and that of her grandchildren are more important. Chief of the community, Osei Asamoah Bonsu, could not help but shed tears as he went round to see the damage. He fears the town may be deserted since majority of the youth had already left the area in search of jobs elsewhere.
This
is a town we inherited from our ancestors. Since there are no jobs here for the youth, they continue to leave the place. Those who are still here find it difficult to make ends meet. Most of them are weavers, and they weave clothes for a living. We are worried where affected individuals will pass the night. Even if there's an intervention from somewhere, it will take time. We pray it does not happen again.
We are not so afraid. We are
Meanwhile, the Catholic priest who led the Thanksgiving service is of the view, with communal support, victims will see life again.
Okay, so far what has happened, the disaster, the calamity that we've experienced, we've gathered here this afternoon to give thanks to Almighty God, because He is the author of our lives. So we are here just to encourage the members and also our family members. We hail from this place, that's why we rush to this place, to sympathize with them and also to encourage them, also pray with them. That's why we are here.
We're taking a break here on Joy News Prime, but still ahead in the bulletin. Accra Region Police killed 2 suspected robbers in a shootout and arrest 3 others, including 1 Salami said to have been involved in Tuesday's Royal Motors robbery at the North Industrial area.
The intelligence team went there. When they saw the police, they tried to fight back. There was an exchange of fire, and these 2 were killed instantly.
The opposition National Democratic Congress has meanwhile criticized government's handling of the security situation.
All this is happening at a time when President Akufo-Addo has set up the most heavily populated security architecture.
But Vice President Dr. Mamadou Bawumia has rejected suggestions government has remained aloof.
The recent spate of armed robberies, which are of concern to everybody, is of concern to him.
Stay tuned, we'll be back in a bit. Now, access to electricity improves gross income and welfare of households, but has little effect on agricultural employment. That's the outcome of a study by the Economics Department of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Researchers sought to find the effect of rural electrification on household incomes by comparing those which have electricity and those which don't. Dr. George Edu is lead researcher.
Point to a high of 63% by 2014. During this same period, we recorded substantial reduction in poverty rates, even using the new poverty line, which is $1.9 per day. Rural poverty reduced to about 37.9%. So can we associate this reduction in rural poverty to extension in electricity to these areas? To answer this question, we compare rural households who do have access to electricity with those who do not have access. And our estimates suggest that there is a significant income improvement in rural households who receive access to electricity compared to those who do not have. And this effect mainly works through the establishment of non-agricultural enterprises that comes out when people have access to electricity. And so rural electrification have significant poverty reduction effect. So in the 64% is in terms of the magnitude of the effect that gross incomes of households in communities that have access to electricity is about 64% higher compared to those who do not have access to electricity.
And now on to our crime-related stories. One suspect is being interrogated by the police in connection with a bag snatching incident at Osu here in Accra. The robbery on Thursday evening involved 3 men on a motorbike who tried to rob a foreigner for an unspecified amount of money. Members of the public in the vicinity tell Joy News they were attracted to the scene by multiple gunshots. The robbery was said to have been foiled after a taxi driver rammed his vehicle into the motorcycle the robbers were fleeing on. Maxwell Agbagba has been speaking to some witnesses who were in the vicinity of the crime.
That's 8:15 going. 8:15. Yeah, yes. There are three people. There are 3 guys. They have the motor car. Okay. And they just there for the bag. Yes, I don't know the place. They just saw the white man. They say from the house. They just come there. Yeah. Just saw them. They collect the bag. Gun behind for the Johnson. They make one is shot. One is off. After they chase them, they use a bike. 3 on the one bike. They just make one shot. Then they left the money. So the motor, they fall down plus the motor. Yeah. I'm telling you, not them. They fall down for the motor. Then that time they can't take the money again.
We were going home. We are staying at Kaswa. Yeah. So I was going with my wife. And then we met a certain man running after a thief man, shouting, "Armed robber, armed robber." But we decided to confront the armed robber, but he was holding a cutlass. Because of that, we couldn't confronted him. So he was running, and the other guy too, he was alone. So he was running after him, shouting, "Armed robber, armed robber." But later we saw some people also coming, so we directed them where the armed robber passed. So some of them also moved car and chased after them. But later we heard they have arrested the armed robber. So yes, because of the cutlass, people couldn't get closer to him, and even they couldn't arrested him early. They ran after him for some miles or a while.
We're back from lectures, so we were behind the trust specialist hospital, their building, and we heard a gunshot. So we actually rushed to the scene to witness what's happening. So when we got here, we realized there were policemen around conveying 3 people into their car. So I was really gripped with fear. So I have to put my phone beneath my abdomen and everything. So when we got to the house, I was so scared because it has happened to me before. Yeah. They've taken my phone, my money before. So I was just recollecting everything that I went through. So I was really scared yesterday.
Oh, yesterday, like like 8:30 going. I was inside before I see said the motor ran away come then here. So the time I come out, they are going here. So one of the security man was here was telling me they are armed robbers. So there's still some white man in money. So the 10 times the thing said here be road. So they think they will pass here. There's no road. So they 10. They go back. So but you go they fall down here.
Now, the Accra Region Police say they have arrested one suspect in connection with the daring daylight robbery of an automobile company, Royal Motors, in the North Industrial area of Kaneshie. This comes as a major breakthrough in the efforts to clamp down on the spate of armed robbery attacks in the capital. 2 other suspects involved in the car snatching indicate in Kumasi have also been arrested. Speaking at a news conference in Accra Friday, the Accra Region Police Commander, DCOP George Alex Mensah, announced that 2 others have been killed in a shootout with the police. One of them, whose name was given as Raymond, is suspected to have played a role in the attack on a forex bureau at Spintex Road this weekend, the Kwabinya cell break earlier this year. Ernest Menu has more.
The daylight robbery at the North Industrial area triggered a wave of shock and anxiety in the capital. DCOP George Alex Mensah says they have resolved to track down on the others involved.
Action 1, Salami, alias Bebe, who was wanted in connection with the robbery at the Royal Motors on the 27th of last month, was also arrested at Ashalaga, where our intelligence told us that he was hiding. The Royal Motors people can hide, they can run, but that will not be forever. I've promised Ghanaians that we will get at them. We will get at them. And we started getting at them.
2 other suspects involved in car snatching in Kumasi were also traced and arrested based on intelligence.
Kwabena Ofori, 42 years. Michael Salifu, who snatched a car from Kumasi and brought it to Accra to sell the car. Our intelligence officers feigned interest to buy this car, and they were arrested.
Meanwhile, 2 others, Raymond alias Dragon and his accomplice Kwame alias Mafia, were killed in a shootout with the police. Raymond, according to the police, has been on their wanted list for some time now and is said to have been involved in the Kwabinya cell break and the attack on a forex bureau at Spintex.
Just this afternoon, the intelligence team also had a hint of 2 armed robbers who have been on our wanted list for a very long time, and the police have been looking for them. One of them, his name is Raymond, alias Dragon. And Raymond was one of the suspects who took part in a robbery incident at Agboba, where they robbed a filling station. His accomplices were arrested, but he managed to run away. Later, he also took part in the escape incident that happened at Kwabinya. Raymond is believed to be one of the people who planned the escape because that was where his accomplices were being kept. And Raymond is also believed to be among those people who have been breaking forest bureaus around the Spintex Road and has also been involved in a series of robberies at Oibi. Another suspect, also called Kwame, alias Mafia, an accomplice of Raymond, has also been on our wanted list. And this afternoon, through our intelligence, we heard that they were hiding in a place. The intelligence team went there. When they saw the police, they tried to fight back. There was an exchange of fire, and these 2 were killed instantly. Their bodies are now being sent to the police morgue for preservation.
The police vowed to face off with any criminal who dares to engage in a shootout.
This is a means to tell them that we are ready for them, and if need be, they will have to visit their old ladies. Police will never kill innocent persons unless there's a misfire or people are killed in an armed battle and some people will be standing somewhere else. But we will only return fire when fire is aimed at us.
The arrest comes just a day after a massive shake-up in the police top hierarchy and an announcement by government to roll out a joint police and military patrol team to ward off criminal activities.
The minority in Parliament has described as incompetent government's handling of the security situation so far.
James Agaga, who addressed the news conference, blamed the situation on the activities of militant groups nurtured by the governing party and accused the president of staffing the security agencies with them.
In the wake of the mayhem unleashed by the hoodlums, the NDC called on President Akufo-Addo to immediately disband and demobilize the Invisible Forces, Delta Force, and other militant groups operating under the MPP. President Akufo-Addo could not be bothered and took no action to stem the creeping lawlessness and insecurity. Instead, the president has rewarded them by integrating many of these criminal elements into national security. In fact, we are reliably informed that members of these militant groups have recently undergone training at a camp at Asuchari belonging to the military. We are further informed that the instructors include 2 South African mercenaries who were deported from the country in 2016 in the run-up to the general elections.
He questioned the president's silence on the matter.
In the midst of this extremely frightening security situation, the president prefers to globetrot, rub shoulders with world leaders and deliver speeches of doubtful importance, and is yet to utter a word of comfort to scared Ghanaians. It is almost as if Ghana has no leader. All this is happening at a time when President Akufo-Addo has set up the most heavily populated security architecture, comprising the National Security Minister, Minister in charge of National Security, Minister of Interior, Minister of Defense, National Security Advisor, National Security Coordinator, Director of Presidential Security, Inspector General of Police, the Chief of Defense Staff, Director of BNI, Director of Defense Intelligence, Director of Research, amongst others. Worsening this situation is the lack of discretion on the part of several appointees.
The minority spokesperson on Interior said, rather than deploy the military, government should adequately resource the police. He said Ghana is not safe under President Akufo-Addo and charged the president to instruct the Attorney General to bring finality to cases involving attacks on police personnel.
He failed to act at the very onset of his administration when a police officer was assaulted at the presidency. The president must instruct the Attorney General to wrap up pending cases of attacks on police personnel, including the assault of ASP Nanka Bruce. The president must direct the police council to review appointments in the police service that has weakened the morale of the police and heightened concern of over-politicization of certain appointments recently made within the service. The president must put together a bipartisan group as a matter of urgency to help the Ghana police to review the operations with a view to adapting new strategies and technologies to help in stemming the upsurge of criminal activities.
The minority is also demanding the dismissal of non-performing security appointees.
Meanwhile, in an exclusive interview with the minority spokesperson on communications, ABA Fuseni has questioned what he says is government's decision to sideline COP Kofi Boakye. The move, according to him, has weakened morale within the police service.
Our spokesperson put it right, he hit the nail right on the head. he said that because of the extreme partisanship with which MPP approaches matters, there are competent people who they can rely on to help, but they are sidelined them. And they just mentioned COP Kofi Boakye. Everybody knows Kofi Boakye's competence wherever he has gone. Where is he now? Today he's not even heading a small unit. They have consigned him to the background. You understand me? And this is a national crisis where we need every talent, every human resource that can help us to achieve results. You know this man has that talent. Why are you not using him? Can you tell me why, for instance, they are not using Kofi Boakye? You yourself, you attest to his competence. He's a result-oriented nature. Kofi Boakye is a field operations man. Ask everybody. He's not an armchair police officer. He will be there, and he will motivate his officers to go and work, and you will achieve the results. Why is this government not even giving Kofi Boakye any opportunity? They are even sidelining him. Today, do you know what position that Kofi Boakye occupied? When they brought him from Ashanti regime, they said they took him to the depot here. A very seasoned police officer like that. They took him to the depot there, and even now the depot he has been relegated to serve under somebody in a research department or somebody. At a time when this country is burning, you have a competent person like that, and you are consigning him to be a deputy or somewhere in a research department. My brother, when your house is on fire, you are chasing rats.
Thank you, Honorable.
When the house is on fire, the president is missing. The president should come back home and deal with these measures 10 days out of the country. Look, in places, heads of states go out, when the national crisis like this are, they come back to their countries. Any president who loves his people, when he hears that anything has happened somewhere and he's outside the country, he will come back home.
But that's what the vice president is acting instead.
Those people, you think they don't have vice presidents? The president was elected because of him as president. He should not relegate that duty to the vice president. He should come back home and work and stop. He's traveling too much. Look, within this year alone, he has traveled. Can you even count the number of times the president has traveled? If he sits in Ghana for 1 week, the next week he will travel to 10 days. We don't say the president should not travel out and do it, but he's traveling too much. It's as if he's undertaking global tourism. He should come back and work. We need him here to come and work.
Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia has meanwhile rejected claims government has remained oblivious to the seeming insecurity in the country in recent weeks, assuring that it is working on enhancing the safety of the citizenry. Speaking at the Bosokai Central Mosque to observe special Juma prayers as part of activities marking this year's independence anniversary, he said government is providing the police with the needed resources to combat the crime wave that has left many terrified. The Vice President added he has been in constant touch with the President, who he says is very much concerned about the spate of armed robbery.
We are here to give thanksgiving to Allah for bringing Ghana this far. On the 6th of March will be 61 years since independence. And we have to thank Allah for bringing us so far. If Ghana were a human being, we would have been going on pension by now. But we're a country, and the country to go forward needs peace and stability. And this is what we are thanking God for. I want to assure the general public that the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is fully apprised of developments of what is going on, in constant contact with him, and the recent spate of armed robberies, which are of concern to everybody, is of concern to him. And this is why we are taking the measures that we are taking to restore, the stability and security of this nation. We ask for the cooperation of the general public as we, under the security forces, undertake these operations. And inshallah, they will be successful. We will make sure that every resource is provided for successful. Ghana, we are known for our peace and stability, and we are going to make sure we maintain that. We pray to Allah to give us and continue to give us peace and stability in Ghana and allow the country to move forward. And so we are here to thank everybody and to say we thank God. Salamu alaikum.
We're taking a break to bring you business news, where government's quest to establish a factory in every district said to have been stifled by high interest rates charged by the financial institutions.
Good evening, time now for business. Government's quest to establish a factory in every district is being stifled by high interest rates offered by various financial institutions in the country. This is according to the Secretariat for the One District, One Factory coordinator of the Secretariat, Gifty Ohene-Kunedu, disclosed this to journalists, saying the Ministry of Trade and Industry has begun negotiations with the partnering banks for a flexible rate for potential investors.
Government industrialization program has entered its second year, but with little to show. As part of this year's International Trade Fair and Exhibition, the Ghana Trade Fair Companies has held a day's seminar to discuss issues affecting the One District, One Factory program. Known as the 1D1F Business Seminar, the program served as a platform for the financial institutions and potential investors to find ways of financing the projects. Addressing journalists after the program, coordinator Gifty Ohene-Kunedu said government was working to ensure there are flexible and common interest rates for all the partnering banks.
The minister is working on that so that we can have a uniform, for everybody, uniform figure for everybody. So we are still working on that, talking to them. So I think that we would iron that out and have a uniform, a standard figure for everybody. That is our wish as government. So we are still discussing that with government, with the banks, the financial institutions. I don't want to commit to anything now, but we all know that Exim Bank, for instance, is so low. And there are other banks who are also coming up with, because the banks are different. It's not just one bank. So the minister is dialoguing with the banks and trying to convince them to settle on one uniform, figure for all the promoters. So that is what I can say for now, as far as the interest rate is concerned. And I'm sure we'll get somewhere. Within our limits, we sent about 70 proposals to the banks. That was last year. So it means that over and above what we even envisage. But you see, we have limits as far as we can't force anything on the banks. They all have their own processes. So we, as far as we are concerned, I think we achieve our target of the 51 that we talked about last year, because we sent about 70 proposals. That was last year to the banks, and even this year we've even sent more. You heard from them. So within our limits, within what we can do as a secretariat or as a ministry, I think we've done our best and we have achieved our targets.
The Secretariat also disclosed that about 7 manufacturing firms have received financial support and will take off soon.
I can talk about 7 now, because he talked about one. Just I heard about him talking about one that has been approved now. So I can talk about 7. We have a Kumfi, we have Atebu Buamante, we have Adaklupetu, we have Begro Asikes, we have others. So I can confidently talk about 7.
7 proposals. The 1D1F seminar is part of initiatives by the Trade Fair Company to support government industrialization program.
The Ghana Free Zones Authority is embarking on new reforms to ensure a competitive market for free zone enterprises. According to CEO of the Free Zones Authority, Michael Otri-Befi, the reforms, which include the establishment of a business center at Tema, will, among others, expand operations of the authority and also help deepen investment drive in the sector. Michael Otri-Befi was speaking at the Free Zones Authority's CEO's Forum in Accra.
The CEO's Forum by the Ghana Free Zones Authority is to help address some challenges at the Free Zones Authority. It brought together enterprises in the Eastern, Greater Accra and Volta regions to deliberate on best ways to make doing business at the various Free Zones enclave competitive. Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Michael Otri-Befi, says the authority will this year be embarking on several reform projects. These include the setting up of a portal to bring all businesses along the various enclaves together for business-to-business encounters. According to him, the construction of a business center at Tema will help expand operations of the authority and deepen investment drive into the sector.
A research and BD unit has also been created
to do market intelligence and also to search for new markets for companies that wish to venture into new markets and not rely on traditional markets. What we have realized is that over the years, most companies have relied solely on your traditional markets. So this new department has come to try to identify new markets to help you grow your business. The unit will also be responsible for reviewing proposals for new businesses and expansion by existing free zones enterprises. To enable the unit to have some insight into what the Ghana Free Zones Authority can do to assist you, they are conducting research and questionnaires have been distributed to some free zones enterprises. I will employ you to assist us in filling out the questionnaires to enable us come up with policies and strategies that will be beneficial to your operations as a free zones enterprise.
On his part, a Deputy Minister of Trade, Carlos Ahenkra, reaffirmed government resolve to refurbish the Free Zones enclave with state-of-the-art infrastructure. He assured that issues with security will be critically addressed before the end of the year.
We need to shape up our enclave a little bit because you seem to have one or two deficiencies here and there. I agree. But for your information, the Free Zones Board is going to embark upon a massive facelift of the enclave. We are going to reconstruct the walls that are broken. We are going to put up roads where there are no roads. We're going to ensure that the security of the area is very safe, especially now that we're hearing a whole lot of things. We even intend to put up a police station within the enclave itself, and so on and so forth. So I want to allay your fears and let you understand that the ministry, with the able execution of the Free Zones Board itself, it's very much aware of the deficiencies that are worrying our enclave, and we are going to make sure that we do something about it.
The conference was under the theme Resolving Challenges for Business Growth in Ghana.
Local business startup NGO Idea to Market wants technology innovators to collaborate more with other players to improve the sector. Chief Executive Foster Ofosu believes scientists must see entrepreneurs as partners for growth. He was interacting with students and startup businesses in Kumasi. Nana Yao Jima reports.
Commercial production remains a challenge to local innovators. Most scientific inventions have ended up only as discussion topics at workshops due to reluctance of the market to accept them. Others are as a result of inability of producers to meet market demand. Mr. Ofosu believes the scientists should open up for partnership.
What I was talking about is that whilst the engineers are doing what is possible, we can make an SUV, we can make cars, we also need to look at the soft side, the soft side of economics and business and sociology and philosophy, because these are the ones that are going to, the scientists have made this, they have done what is possible, but we need to move this to what is needed and what somebody would pay for and what somebody would desire, and somebody would want to say, at the end of the day, I have a product that I enjoy and I recommend it to somebody to buy. So it was just a distinction between scientists doing what is possible.
So there should be a synergy between our scientists and
Absolutely. The scientists, the business scientists, if you like, the entrepreneurs, and policy and the university. There has to be that synergy. Because otherwise, we do have that situation across the continent, not just Ghana. We have scientists who have developed great products, great research products. We have engineers who have developed great products, but they are sitting on shelves. And everybody is saying, but the government is not helping us.
He believes scientists will have to explain their research and inventions in simple language to get policymakers to understand.
Research, and I'm not saying that the policymakers don't understand it. What I'm saying is that the researchers don't speak the language that policymakers can implement. So it's not because the policymakers don't understand necessarily, but if you come to me, I'm an economist, and you give me a paper on quantum physics, and you tell me that this is the way that we're supposed to go, you need to explain to me what quantum physics is and what it means for the ordinary people. So my point was that generally, academics write reports in a language that is just academics, like preaching to the choir. They talk to themselves. So if they really want policy, to really integrate, that input, it has to be. So this is about communication. It's not about science. Scientists do a very great job, but who understands it?
Nana Yaojima reporting.
The Ghana Revenue Authorities explained that the transition period granted manufacturers and suppliers for the implementation of the excise tax stamp policy should not be mistaken for an amnesty. According to the GRA, operators have up to the end of June this year to get the stamps affixed on affected products without any cost to companies. A section of the media has reported that the authority has given a 3-day amnesty to manufacturers and suppliers to get the stamps affixed. However, in an interview with Joy Pieces, Programs Manager of the Excise Stamp Policy Unit, Kwabna Apel, denied the claim.
Again, let me clarify. The transitional period within which anybody could have sold the products without the stamps has elapsed. In fact, it ended or it expired on the 28th of February 2018. And that is why yesterday, that is the 1st of March, we hit town. We went to town. That was an enforcement. But just that we fell short of seizing products. And we told them that the next time we come without the stamps, that we see products without the stamps, we will seize them. As I said, the supply of the stamps for free should not be confused with the obligation to affix the stamps. The obligation to affix the stamps is still in force from the 1st of March 2018. Just that if you come for the stamps, we will not sell the stamps to you.
And that ends business for tonight. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Emmanuel Apuaji. This morning is ahead. Don't go away.
Well, the legal education debate has still been making the headlines, and to help find solutions to the perceived problems plaguing the sector, the Joy FM Thought Leadership Team put together a panel of fine legal brains to debate the admission into the Ghana School of Law and other issues. Evans Mensah hosted or moderated that show, and he joins me from the Alisa Hotel here in Accra. Hello, Evans. So what were some of the main points that came out of this debate?
A few interesting points came out today. First of all, the Attorney General herself was part of the panel, and as you indicated, she committed that one of the things she said was the government is committed to overhauling the legal education in Ghana. One of the key things that she said government was going to do in the long term is put in place a system that allows law students, wherever they are, ultimately to remove the bottlenecks and the restrictions that we currently see in the system. Now, she expressed a personal opinion, though, on what she believes the architecture of legal education should be. One where the General Legal Council is removed from legal education so that they become the accrediting institution, so to speak. So you can go to any school you want to learn law. When you're done, you just sit for the bar exam, which is then regulated by the General Legal Council, and whether you call to the bar or not, that becomes an issue that the Legal Council will deal with. But in terms of dictating to faculties at the law school, etc., she wants the General Legal Council to be far removed from that. And remember that she's a member of the Legal Council, of the General Legal Council herself. Now, there were other revelations today about the nature of the curriculum at the Ghana School of Law. And we have a senior lecturer at the law school as Maxwell Pokwajiman, who was emphatic that the General Legal Council, without actually mentioning their name, but that's the only institution that controls the process, had been flip-flopping on the duration for training of law students and the courses and that the law students should study, to the point that is debilitating and crippling the ability to adequately equip.
Well, we have lost Evans there, but this debate comes at a time that Parliament has approved the General Legal Council's legislative instrument legalizing the entrance examination as one of the admission processes to the Ghana School of Law. At a sitting to decide the fate of the LI Friday, lawmakers gave their blessing to the instrument that will regulate admissions at the school starting this year. But some opposition lawmakers, including Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak, have expressed their misgivings at the outcome of the voting. In other news, President of the Upper West Regional House of Chiefs has expressed worry over the massive failure of candidates at the Basic Education Certificate Examination in the Upper West Region. Kuro Richard Babini Canton VI said it is disheartening that some of the worst performing schools in the country are from the Upper West Region. He called on major stakeholders in the education sector to take pragmatic steps to reverse the trend. Kuro Richard Canton made the statement at the general meeting of the Upper West Regional House of Chiefs at Jirapa. Joy News' regional correspondent Rafiq Salam reports.
The general meeting of the Upper West Regional House of Chiefs was held for the first time outside the regional capital, where President of the Upper West Regional House of Chiefs, Kuro Richard Babini Canton VI, while commending the government for implementing its flagship programs, urged municipal and district assemblies to collaborate with traditional authorities to use natural resources in the region equitably to reach private-public partnership agreements to propel development and create jobs for the teeming unemployed youth. Kuro Richard Babini Canton expressed worry over the massive failure of students at a basic education certificate examination in the region.
It is disheartening to hear that each year some of the worst performance schools in the basic education certificate examination come from the Upper West region. We plead with the Regional Education Directorate to intensify the monitoring of schools. Additionally, the schools are community-based. Traditional rulers should, in this regard, periodically visit the schools to motivate both teachers and pupils. Pragmatic steps, I must say, should consequently be taken to reverse the trend, to see improvement on the performance of candidates.
Acting Upper West Regional Minister Amiri Chinia Isaku announced that government will soon award contracts for the construction of dams under the One Village, One Dam program.
A consultant has already been selected for the project, and the selection inspection of sites in the region has started. Hopefully, the award of contracts for the development of sites will be done very soon for the project to commence. The One Village, One Dam project is expected to facilitate farming in the dry season, creating jobs for the youth and also reduce the migration of the youth to the south in search of non-existent jobs. I humbly urge all traditional leaders to help in the release of lands for the project and to also support the consultant and the district assemblies whenever they call on you as chiefs.
Municipal and district chief executives present at the meeting were given opportunity to address some developmental concerns of the chiefs in their respective areas. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam, Jiraba.
The Ghana Health Service, with support from JICA, has developed a combined maternal and child health record book to integrate the system in order to minimize maternal and infant mortality rates in the country. The new combined book has been designed to link the health records of the mother to child from pregnancy till the child attains the age of 5. Speaking at the launch of the project in Cape Coast, Second Lady Samira Baumia says she is hopeful the project would help save many mothers and children from dying.
The new book is expected to replace the current maternal health records used during antenatal visit for pregnant women and the child health record used for children during the child welfare services. The main purpose of the new book, the Second Lady Samira Baumia explains, is to improve the maternal and child health service delivery and outcomes, and also to fill the gaps in maternal and child health services with better coverage of continuum of care related to essential preventive health services, with neither the old maternal record book nor the child health record book covered. According to the Second Lady, Ghana has made progress in recent years in many social development indicators, including improvements in survival of mothers and children and other health outcomes.
In spite of all these, there exist substantial challenges in maternal and child health services. Key amongst them are low continuum of care coverage despite the high antenatal care coverage, ineffective use of record cards, and the high cost of printing. Although we have high numbers of mothers attending antenatal clinics at some stage in their pregnancies, most of them do not receive the full range of services.
Samira Baumia explains the impact the new book would have on maternal and infant health services across the country.
This is an effort that needs to be applauded as it will help improve maternal and child health service delivery, thus ensuring that every mother who seeks health care receives the complete package of services for herself and her baby.
Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Anthony Siasari, says the health service is poised to emulate best practices in the world to ensure that maternal and infant mortality rates in the country is reduced to the barest minimum.
Japan maternal mortality is very, very low. In fact, we went to a hospital where we didn't even see any child mortality. And it's not in a city, it's in
March is the month Ghana celebrates its independence. Here at Multimedia, we're celebrating Ghana Month, where we encourage made in Ghana production and consumption. Today, we put the spotlight on made in Ghana wine. It is neither palm wine nor the good old Akpeteshing. Gift Ando Apia has the story in this report.
This is cashew wine. I'll tell you a bit about it in a bit. And this is cocoa wine. Now I'm at a winery here in the Volta region and I'm not quite sure what they're trying to do here. So they're going to take us through the process of winemaking and how they're making it here in Ghana in the Volta region. Join me as I learn a bit more about this.
So that is cashew wine.
This could easily pass for fruit juice, but in the next 11 months and 2 weeks, it could end up on your table at any luxurious event here in Ghana. It is wine in the making. Try looking up wine made in Ghana. You are bound to find nothing besides palm wine or the good old Akpeteshing. But even this locally manufactured alcoholic beverage is largely treated as inferior, partly to packaging and maybe its 40 to 50% alcoholic content. But come to think of it, the very popular and expensive vodka contains about the same amount of alcohol. Some contain even higher percentages. I have stumbled upon a Ghanaian using locally grown fruits like cocoa and cashew to produce sophisticated wine, employing hands-on skills he'd acquired while studying in the UK.
If there's fruit in it, it would have been on the top. On the top. Okay. So all you do is to press this. Until it goes down and down and down, and then the juice come out. The cashew juice comes out of the press. When the container is full, you then take the container and pour it. That glucose is not enough to produce alcohol for you for 12%, 14% that you want. So we need to augment it with sugar, and then we add the wine ace and you ferment. You need to ferment and leave it to mellow for about a year.
After keeping the fruit extract for a year, the wine is ready to be served.
Extremely slow process.
Right. So, time for me to do some tasting, starting from the cocoa white and the cashew wine.
Yeah. This is cashew wine. I'm going to taste that one as well. I'm doing a lot of tasting and I'm sure I'll be intoxicated by the time I leave here. The cashew wine tastes good. Tastes actually, to me, it tastes really good.
And then I tried the cocoa plus hibiscus flower or sobolo.
So I've got some red wine here. They're trying to name it Red Ellen. Red Ellen. Red Ellen. That's also cocoa wine with a touch of hibiscus
flowers or sobolo.
Or sobolo, the sobolo that you know. So if you like sobolo, well, this is a wine here for you. Let me taste it as well. I'm such a bad taster of wine.
There we have a coffee wine.
The coffee wine available was still in the process of settling, so that could not be tasted at this time. Once the year passes and the juice extras look beautifully clear, packaging begins, and that's where a local manufacturer's dilemma begins.
It makes the product expensive because on average the packaging is taking about 70% of our unit cost of production.
It is cheaper to import these packaging material than to acquire them locally. Harrison tells me taxes paid the Food and Drugs Authority, Ghana Standards Authority, Environmental Health Directorate and the whole Municipal Assembly, whether they sell or not, has a crippling effect. This has been a major disincentive and a threat to a sustainable local manufacturing industry in Ghana. With thousands of cashew and cocoa production here in Ghana, Harrison and his cohorts have high hopes their made-in-Ghana wine will be a proven example of value addition to local raw material. They hope it will also create jobs and carve a unique identity for Ghana.
We're looking forward to make this wine the ceremonial Ghanaian wine, so that if you have a main Ghanaian event, we serve this.
Well, perhaps the dawn of a trend of wineries for sophisticated production and branding of the good old palm wine and akpetishi.
The mantra for successive government has been value addition. The NPP government is even one of the loudest when it comes to value addition. Well, I have here in my hands examples of value addition.
Gifty Andopia, Joy News, Ho in the Volta region.
City authorities in Kumasi are investigating allegations of extortion of traders by unscrupulous individuals, promising to secure for them shops at the new KJTR market. Though officials are yet to get hold of any individual, they say intelligence points to such fraudulent activities. Nana Ajima has been following up on the issue following a statement from the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly and filed the following report.
The KJTR Market project is nearing completion after Kumasi Traditional Council intervened in land disputes between contractors and a private developer. Delayed work has brought hardship to traders who continue to struggle with authorities over space. They have defied attempts by the KMA to move them from the city center to satellite markets around the city. The situation appears to have created a rush for shops at the yet to be completed markets. Leader of KJTR Petty Traders Association, Nana Prempe, says fears of losing out in allocation of shops opens traders up for potential manipulation.
Originally, we were registered biometrically about 3 years ago by the Assembly with the hope that when the KJTR project is completed, we'll be relocated there. That's what we are looking up to. You see, we are one of the major stakeholders of the old KJTR. So we are having interactions through our legal officers with the Assembly. So as I said earlier, we've been registered biometrically. It is our hope that when, after the validation, which the Assembly had promised, when it is done, we know we are going back to KJTR.
Meanwhile, the KMA says it is committed to original arrangements to take care of original registered occupants of the site when work is done. Godwin Okumenyame is Public Relations Officer.
We haven't even fixed the cost of the shops as of now, because we have to make sure that we go through the validation. That's the next process. We're going to validate traders who are registered there to find out probably if there are some mistakes in terms of people whose name were not well captured, and then maybe spelling mistakes and so on and so forth. All those things are going to be done so far as the validation process is concerned, and to clean the register to make sure that we actually have the exact number of people who have to be on the register. So, like I said, we haven't also come out with how much the store is going to cost, because we have different types of stores. Some are we have it in sizes. So the cost will obviously come out. But we haven't been fixed the cost as at now.
Mr. Okumanyame cautions traders against falling prey to people who pose as officials of the assembly to dupe them.
If, for example, somebody comes to you and tells you that, oh, I'm from KMA, and for that matter, give me some money for me to assist you to have a shop, such a person can even be reported to the police as at now because we haven't reached there yet. So basically, that is the information that we are giving out to the public. People who need information should contact the PR department, should contact the estate department. Our doors are open. We will continue to make sure that we engage the major stakeholders who happen to be the traders at every stage of the redevelopment project.
Nana Yaujima reporting.
And in our headlines, Accra Region Police killed 2 suspected robbers in a shootout and arrest 3 others, including 1 Salami, said to have been involved in Tuesday's Royal Motors robbery at the North Industrial Area. The opposition National Democratic Congress has meanwhile criticized government's handling of the security situation. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has, however, rejected suggestions government has remained aloof. In business, government's quest to establish a factory in every district stifled by high interest rates charged by financial institutions in the country. An Accra High Court dismisses application by workers of Goldfields to put on hold an ongoing retrenchment exercise being carried out by the gold miner.